everybody dreams of living on a golf course with a fairway for a front lawn. But then most of us would just be satisfied to have that green on our side of the fence. I'm Master Gardener Jerry Baker, and I'm going to take you on a trip and show you the tips and the tricks that will ensure you're having the greenest grass on the block on your side of the fence. Grass is the hair of the earth, and nobody likes a bald lawn. That's called dethatching. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking the dandruff out of lawns. If you don't take this dandruff out of the lawn at least every 2 years, your grass will thin out and you'll have absolutely nothing. Now look, I'm in 3 square feet. This lawn has been dethatched every year. And look what I pulled up. And what I'm using is a Cavex type rake, a dethatching rake. They're half moon blades, if you'll notice. They're sharp on one side and they have a flange that goes out that cleans. I simply pull this, put it into the ground, pull it to me, it goes down inside and pulls up the dead grass that's underneath that's gotten away from the catcher. Now again, I say we have to take it away because if we don't take it away, then that's where disease and insects hide. That's good in the vegetable garden, but that's not good in the lawn. Now the other tool that you can get is you can get a little handy dethatching rake like this. Looks like a fan rake, and it's for light jobs, and you can do the same thing, but it doesn't do it quite as well. Or if you want to really make the job easy, you can get a hold of a dethatcher like this. It's a power dethatcher, and the power is your own, and you simply take and you pull it, and as you pull it to yourself, push it away, it pulls the thatch up. Now a woman can use this, or a youngster, good thing to train the kids, and get all of that thatch up and put it aside. Now once the thatch is up and aside, it can be either put into a compost pile, or you can take and just dig it into the garden, or use it around your tomatoes or vegetables in order to keep the weeds away. But don't throw it away, it's very valuable. Now if you don't want to do this, you don't want to do it mechanically, then what we do is scientifically, folks. What you do is you fill a hose end jar full of beer, ordinary beer. Now don't let your lawn be too particular. Any kind of beer will do just fine. And I fill it up almost to the top, leaving enough room to put 1 cup of liquid dish soap. You're going to say, wait a minute, I mean, my lawn doesn't deserve a beer. Oh yes it does, because what happens is the yeast that's in the beer begins decomposition. Now I'm putting the soap in. I put it on my hose end sprayer, and the yeast that's in there begins decomposition of the grass that's down in there, and it breaks down, and it breaks down in a form that the lawn can then eat. And what happens is, on a day when the temperature is above 80 degrees, you spray your lawn with beer and soap and really water it in. It's going to smell good, I'll tell you. It's going to be clean and happiest lawn in the world. And what happens is, as that heat intensifies, this thing is going to start perking. You're going to end up with green, healthy, safe lawns. You haven't spent a lot of time, a lot of effort. You had to give up a beer or two, but then it's worth it not to have a bald lawn. You know, lawns, just like plants, don't live by water alone. They have to be fed. And what we feed them with is a good balanced fertilizer. You let economics dictate. It has to have phosphorus, potash, and nitrogen in it. But the secret is applying it at half the recommended rate on the back. And on the back of every bag, it shows you what the suggested setting on your particular spreader is on the back. So you apply it at half the recommended rate instead of the full recommended rate. We use a broadcast spreader because it flares out and throws the pattern much better. Once that material is down in the spring of the year, then what happens is every third time that I mow my lawn, I put a little tiny spreader like this, and I fill it full of the same fertilizer. I set it on a number 1, and then I go out across the lawn, and it doesn't look like anything's coming out. What happens is that then becomes ammoniated gas, and the plant can eat it as it needs it. It isn't wasted, doesn't wash off and pollute the streams. Now, if you want to make the fertilizer really act fast for you, what we do is after we put the first spring application on, is we fill our hose end jar full of household ammonia, about 2/3 full of household ammonia. Then we put in a cupful of liquid dish soap and attach it to our hose end sprayer. Now, what happens is when I water the fertilizer in with this, I have pre-digested the nitrogen that's in there. And now the grass is eating the ammonia that's in here and will literally grow and start to change colors within 8 to 10 hours. That's the most effective way, and you can do that 2 or 3 times during the season if you want to. Now, if you would like to go to liquid applications, and liquid applications are doing the same thing that the professional applicator does, the truck that comes in, well, what he does is he takes the content, the equivalent of a box of liquid plant food like this, he dissolves it in a bucket and applies it from a hose end. You can do the same thing by applying it either through your hose end sprayer or a hose on and watering it in, doing the same identical thing. This will cost you about $2 against like $38 or $40. It's excellent, but when you have liquid application done, you should put down a dry application in the spring and a dry application in the fall so that the plants get more phosphorus and potash. That way the greenest grass in the block will always be on your side of the fence. Planting grass seed, that's a simple job. All you do is just take a handful of seed and go out and throw it on the ground. And it sprouts. Wrong, it doesn't sprout. What happens is it may germinate a little bit and the roots come out, and then it dries up and blows away. Or the birds think you're a horticultural philanthropist. Well, here are a couple of tricks on how to make grass seed germinate faster and really grow. First of all, take your seed, put it into a plastic jar like this, or into a plastic bag if you want to. Then you take a tea bag and make 3 cups of tea with 1 bag. 1 for me, 1 for thee, and the 3rd time for the plants. It's 1 cup of tea per pound of seed. Now, cover it up, and put it in the refrigerator, and leave it there for 24 hours. Now, at the end of 24 hours, you would take the seed out and you'd put it on the driveway, the sidewalk, or any place that you want to dry out. Now, the next thing that we would do is if we're just spot seeding and spot seeding only, then we would take and we would mix ordinary topsoil, 50%, and 50% professional mix. Now the professional mix is light and has peat moss in it, and we'll use 50% of that because it has food in it. We then will take and mix all of this soil together, and now we'll take and add our grass seed that's dried out. We'll add that into this mix and we'll mix it all up. Now then, what I have is a mixture of soil and seed. Now I can take this mixture, and I'll go out and show you how we'll scuff up the soil and put it down. You take the mixture of the professional mix and the potting soil and the seed that has dried enough to handle that we mix together to look like this. And you take it to the spots that you want to spot seed, and you take and dig that soil and really rough it up and take off all of the dead grass that was in the area. Matter of fact, you tear out the dead stuff as much as you can so that it's roughed up. Now just simply take and sprinkle over relatively heavy this mix. Now pat it down. Now all you have to do is mist-spray it twice a day. And when I say mist-spray, just mist it a little bit for about a week. It'll begin to pop and germinate, and pretty soon this spot will be as green as all the rest. If you want to overseed the whole lawn, then when the grass seed that's dried out enough you can handle a sweep, you put it into the whirly spreader, set it on the setting that's proper for it, and then you would go out across the lawn and you would spread the seed. This is done generally in the fall between August the 15th and September the 20th is the best time. That way you know that you have nice, thick, rich grass. And if you have a problem, you know how to solve it. problem with lack of aeration is something that all of you see, but few of you recognize until it's too late. Lack of aeration is when right in the middle of your lawn, you'll find a dry spot will come up, or along a fence, or where the soil rolls off and down a slope. And if you don't take care of it and you don't aerate it, water won't hold in there, and you'll end up with a whole brown stripe all along, for instance, along a mound like this, or dry spots in the yard and you don't know how to take care of them. Well, let me tell you, first of all, if you always wear your golf spikes, like I do when I work in the yard constantly, they cut through the pad just enough that lets extra water get through the root pad that's underneath. Matter of fact, I even take and put on my jogging spikes, and I go out and jog in these. These spikes will cut through the pad, so if you want the greenest grass in the block, why not jog your lawn to garden glory? What you can do is also take a pick and a sharp one like this, and about every 6 or 8 inches apart, just go through the pad. You don't have to go deep, just drop it down so it gets through the pad. But the other thing that you can do is take a hollow pipe with a hammer and literally take plugs out. We professionally have a plugger, and it takes a plug right out of the ground, and you would do this in rows, alternating, so you got a triangle effect. And what it does is takes the plugs right out. Or a simple way to do it is to simply take a hatchet and go along and cut through like that. Now, once that's taken care of, then you want this to stay away permanently. So in order to make it stay away permanently, what we do is take soap and water, put it into the hose end sprayer, and we spray with the surfactant. And professionally, that's what we call soap. Soap is a surfactant which removes surface tension, so penetration takes place, so that water holds for a longer period of time. So when you've done all of these jobs, then just wash it down with soap and water, and the greenest grass on the block will return to your mound or your dry spots. That's called aeration. No matter how healthy your lawn is, you're going to end up with weeds. But the worst thing in the world you can do is what most people do when they want to get rid of them, is they dig them out. Now what happens is when you go in and you dig it out like this and you pull it out, you end up with only half the plant. Because what happened is where you cut it off, you left the root down inside, and now 2 plants are going to grow. It's going to sprout, just like the top. It's called pedicuring. What I suggest that you do is to use chemical controls. And chemical controls can either be in a dry form or they can be a weed killer. But weed killers kill more than weeds. They'll kill flowers because they're the same. There's a secret to making weed killers work effectively, and the first thing is to take a hose end sprayer, fill it up with water, and put about 1 cup of liquid dish soap. Any liquid dish soap will do fine. Now you attach it to your hose end sprayer, and now spray the area where the weeds are with the soap and water. Now what happens is that when you put this soap and water down, it washes off the top of the weeds and the grass, softens up the soil, so that now when I come back through and apply my weed killer, whether it be in the form of a dry weed and feed in a spreader, I wait a half hour and I come out and I put it over the top of this damp area. Now what happens is the herbicide is released immediately, goes right into the tissue and kills the weeds. Or I can apply my hose, from my hose end sprayer, I can apply my broadleaf weed killer over areas only where the weeds are. Don't punish the whole lawn. If you've only got just a couple of spots to cover, then mix your weed killer into a little spot sprayer and go along and spray just the areas where the weeds are. If you have a larger area, then what you can do is get a hold of your tank sprayer and now spray just the weed problems. Now make sure that you don't have a drift and that you stay low with all of the materials. Now if you'll follow these few simple steps, the weeds will be gone for most part of the year in your lawn. Watering a lawn seems like such a boring job. As a matter of fact, it's probably the last thing you think of, and it's the first thing you ought to think of. Not only should you think of it from your lawn standpoint, but also from an economical standpoint, saving yourself money. Now let's start and talk about your lawn first. Always water your lawn before 2 in the afternoon. The heat of the day is actually the best time, and that's so your lawn goes to bed at night dry. The only moisture that should be on turf is dew, and dew is sort of a salve from Mother Nature. The next thing is to get as much water down as quickly as you can in the heat of the day so it's on a level basis. Now, using a nozzle like this is interesting for doing 1 or 2 spots, but what you want to do is get your sprinkler to really do a job for you. If you start with the wrong size, a little one like this is interesting for doing small spots in tight areas because it only covers about a 24-foot circle. This is a good one also for the children to run through. I like an impulse sprinkler. An impulse sprinkler spins all the way around, but it also breaks the water and gives you more water for the area. Also, I can hear it working, and I like to hear it work. This sprinkler, on the spike that it's on now, will do about a 35 to 45-foot circle. By simply adding a piece of pipe that I can go to any hardware store and get onto the spike and bringing it up a foot at a time, for instance, and I take it up, and now with the spike on, it's 18 inches, and you can see that this sprinkler goes all the way out and gives me a circle of almost 50 feet. Now, one of the things that you want to remember in using a sprinkler is to always put the reverse down on the sprinkler head so that it comes around and fills in on the inside, because the farther out you get the stream, the less water there is on the inside. So it's necessary to reverse your sprinklers. When you go with the great big daddy like this one and you get up to about 30 inches high, he'll now cover a 100-foot circle and give you a circle all the way out so you get down the most water in the quickest period of time over the largest area. So do your pocketbook a favor, do yourself a favor because you don't have to work as hard, and do your lawn a favor by watering at the right time with the right amount of water, and make it a pleasure watering your lawn. Your lawn will sure enjoy it. Lawn mowing. It's a job that most of you don't like to do. Well, some of us do. I do. It's time to think. But lawn mowing is an important thing. First of all, when to mow your lawn. You should always mow your lawn when the sun is going down, probably after 6:30 in the evening, so that the fresh cuts on top don't dry out when the hot sun comes. Next of all, always use a sharp blade. And I keep my blades sharp, and I keep 3 of them so that they're always sharp. I never cut more than 4 times on a blade so that the edge is razor sharp. I always cut so that the sun passes over the top of my cut lines, so that my cut lines don't follow the sun, that it goes over. And what happens is now the shadows fill in. If you turn around and you cut to and from the sun, what happens is it always fills in or opens up the shadows, and your yard always looks like it was mowed. It never has nice lines in it. The last thing that I want to talk to you about, and it's important, the new lawn mowers have new safety features on them so that they automatically stop when you let go of the cord that drives them. This is called an engine control bar, and what happens is this starts the mower. This is the drive control. This is up. When I let go of the drive control like this, the motor automatically stops. Some of you people are going so far as to tape down the engine control. Folks, you're taking a big chance, not only with your own safety, but with the mower's safety and your lawn safety. So just remember, mow safely. Make sure that you mow safely. Mow at the right time, mow in the right direction, and mow the right way so that both your lawn and your lawn mower are safe and you're safe. No, I'm not doing a rain dance. If I did, it would rain. That's my luck. No, I'm aerating the area where insects are, because this is about insect control. I know the chewing tobacco isn't for me to chew because Eileen gets upset with it, even though I started chewing when I was 12, because the first job I got was in an orchard. In order to get the job, you had to chew tobacco. What I'm using that for is intensifying an insecticide. You take 4 fingers of chewing tobacco, that's 4 fingers worth, put it into the toe of a nylon stocking, tie a knot in it. Now, when you mix the insecticide, you drop this into the hose end container with the soap, and you always add soap whenever you're doing anything with any insecticide that's going in the soil. You simply drop it in. Now, you will add a lawn insect chemical. There are several on the markets, depending on which one you use. That's then added into the hose end sprayer. Before you spray with the chemicals, you always use just the soap and water and chewing tobacco juice first onto the area. Then you come back in and mix the chemical, and now you go back in and spray. The soap, remove the surface tension so penetration takes place, so the insecticide gets down where the insects are. If you're using a dry application of an insect control, you water first with the soap and water and the chewing tobacco, then you sprinkle onto it like that, all around, and then I go back in and I spray again with the chewing tobacco and the soap to release the chemical from its carrier so that it works. That way, neither you nor your lawn will be bugged. No matter how nice a yard you have or how well you keep it, turf diseases, fungus, are going to rear their ugly head. This is called dollar spot. Now, this will manifest itself, and these will appear right after you mow them, and they'll be all over, and they'll be there within 24 hours. This is just one of many lawn diseases that you'll come into. Fusarium blight is one, snow mold, slimes, any of them. Now, the way to take care of them is, as soon as you see them, is to, number one, take and pull up as much of the decayed material as you can. Now, once you've got it all up, this stuff can't go in your garden. This has to be thrown away. So keep it close to the area that was bothered. Now, then you would aerate this area, and in this case, we'd do the same thing. We would use the spikes on my shoes, or you could aerate it, but spike it out. There are chemicals that are designed specifically for lawn diseases, and they're called fungicides. Lawn fungicides are expensive, and they're comparable to antibiotics in human beings. They are very, very expensive, so don't buy any more than you need. Make sure that you read the directions on the back for the recommendations for whatever it is you're using it on. In this case, we're using it on turf, so I make sure that I use the recommendations on that. It's then put into a hose end jar along with soap and water that's been designed for it. And soap in itself is somewhat of a fungicide because we use it on ourselves in order to kill bacteria on our own skin. Then you'd go ahead and spray that area with soap and water and the fungicide. Now, if you follow these few steps, then you shouldn't have a fungus problem at all. As a matter of fact, there will be no fungus among us. So you see, you don't have to throw in the towel to get the golf course look. If you just use the tips and tricks that I've shown you, I'll guarantee you that you'll have the greenest grass on your block, on your side of the fence, and it'll be fun.